Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to
Something else.
something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matata, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Genie, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
And welcome to episode number 193 of Something Else. Feast your hair holes on this week's episode as we take a look at one show and one show only. It is the first annual David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions from May the 6th, 1984. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the John Mantell to my Kelly Kiniski. It's Trae. Trae, how the fuck are you today?
You know, I'm in such a state that I'm just not even going to protest being called Johnny Mantell.
Do you realize that there's only one match that we did not see on this 1 hour and 42-minute journey that we took this week, and that was the opener between Kelly Kiniski and Johnny Mantell, which, if the always reliable Wikipedia is to be believed, and I mean, I know how long the other matches went approximately, so it would make sense, that it was the longest match on the show. They went to a 15-minute time limit draw in what, for the sake of argument, would be the dark match.
Okay, to be fair, this is world class. A 15-minute draw probably means 10 and a half minutes.
That's true, but and Wikipedia also lists Kamala versus the Great Kabuki as 12 minutes, and I'm pretty sure that went maybe 6.
8 minutes, 5 seconds.
Okay, yeah. So the always reliable Wikipedia, not that reliable here some of these times.
Yeah. And I am just certain that if that Johnny Mantell Kelly Kiniski match had ever been aired, it would have been on this cut of the show that I watched. So I can only assume that we will be spared from ever having to watch that.
Oh darn! I am so sad that we may never see Kelly Kiniski versus John Mantell in a 15-minute time limit.
Watch them wrestle on TV next week.
I will not watch that match. I'll be like, oh darn, we spoiled it by saying who was going to win or who won. Now, this show was over 2 weeks. And we're going to show you, because I'm going to play Drunk Mark Lawrence's 2 intros, because they just cut the show up into 2 hours of programming. And I'll be honest, and I mean, if you want to wait for me to say this until after we play the intro, that's fine. But I'll be honest, I was a little surprised that despite the world title change, they didn't show that match this week, like the first week. Like, I figured, if I'm a fan, the biggest tipping point that Kerry didn't win the belt is that they didn't immediately air it.
Huh. Well, I didn't know that.
Well, so over the weekend, you and I were discussing, whether or not this was the most attended show. And I guess you never gave me a number, because I knew the approximate attendance of this without looking it up. I knew it was around 32 to 33,000 people. And you were having me look to see if it was the most attended show ever up to this point. And I kept finding all of the Jim Lundas matches in Greece, or the Vietnam matches that Antonio Inoki had that allegedly had between 50 and 80,000 people at it. To be honest, I don't know. Did you think that Drunk Mark Lawrence was on the up and up when he said 50,000? Because spoiler, this show didn't do 50,000.
No, I didn't. I knew it was a lie the first time he said it, which is why we started a whole conversation about it, and then he said it like 17 more times, and it whatever. That's the entertainment. That's the entertainment number. The number is part of the entertainment. Isn't that what WWE said one time?
But I mean, technically, they probably pulled that number out of their ass just to claim a number bigger than New York did, because if you don't count Inoki and you don't count Londis and you just say, okay, just in America, and just in America from the past couple decades, the attendance record would be the 1980 Showdown at Shea show with Bruno and Zbyszko in a cage that did 36,295, while this show did a very healthy 32,123.
Yeah. And I did ask Uncle Dave, and he responded, as best we can tell for the world, Londis bouts in Athens in the 30s. Mexico had bigger ones in the 50s with Medico Asesino. U.S. was a 1935 Dano O'Mahony versus that Don George in Boston. Bruno versus Larry Zbyszko at Shea Stadium. And O'Connor versus Rogers, which I believe was Comiskey Park.
Yes. Now I get most of the other ones don't count because they happened before 1980. And so, to any fan out there, well, that didn't count. That was before most of us were born. Well, it still counts, motherfucker. Anyway, so just gonna say it, I love watching outdoor shows like this. I was also happy I wasn't there because you could see the crowd fanning themselves the entire damn show.
I started having anxiety about what July in Texas is going to be like for y'all in.
Well, Drunk Mark Lawrence said it was 90 degrees, which, based on his previous showing of lying, means it was probably in the low 70s. But, still. Yeah, I wish you best of luck in that one come July, by the way.
By the way, we talked about how big college football is in the South. Texas Stadium was built for high school football.
That's fucking tremendous.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember saying to you, it's Texas is also a high school football state.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's play our first intro with Drunk Mark Lawrence, because unfortunately we get no Bill Mercer this week. It's all Drunk Mark Lawrence. And he's going to introduce the first hour of the show.
Texas Stadium's Parade of Champions. Texas Stadium, Irving, Texas. The greatest card the world has ever seen. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Lawrence for World Class Championship Wrestling. On this show, it's video time. The world television premiere, Badstreet, USA.
Badstreet is LMDA. Badstreet in the whole USA. Badstreet, Jesse and I.
Further down the block, you with the bad yeah.
The main event, the World Six-Man Title, Badstreet style, Fritz von Erich, out of retirement, here today. You'll be seeing Fritz von Erich, who retired here at Texas Stadium, making this one-time return to team with his sons to go for that World Six-Man Title, Badstreet style, currently held by the fabulous Freebirds. The Freebirds defending that belt, they will want to keep it. Mike von Erich, his first chance to team with his father, of course, and the fabulous Freebirds will be in high gear. It's a big day for them. You'll also be seeing Iceman King Parsons and Rock and Roll Zumoff go against the fabulous Super Destroyers from Devastation Incorporated for the American Tag Team title. We'll be back for the opening ceremonies from Texas Stadium in just a moment.
If you want to see the world premiere before MTV, before anybody gets it, stay tuned right here for Badstreet USA, baby, and Bad to the Bone.
Mr. Ralph.
I hope they repaired the door of that house they just kicked the door off of.
Okay, I don't know what the consensus is, like, musically speaking. I unironically like Badstreet USA.
It is a fun song. There ain't
It's
nothing
tremendous.
wrong with that.
It's tremendous.
I
It's like, I grew up hearing like a lot of Southern rock, and I always thought Badstreet USA, like, yeah, that sounds like a real song.
Mhm. Also, fucking drunk Mark Lawrence can't even wait for his cue before he starts talking over me earlier.
Oh,
So-
I'm gonna get sideways with drunk Mark Lawrence at some point on the show.
Oh yes. So in our first 44 minutes of this show, we are gonna see the world premiere of the Badstreet USA music video, and of course the main event of this half of it is the Von Erichs and Fritz coming out of retirement versus the Freebirds in a Badstreet style of match. And not only that, this is Mike Von Erich's first time to team with his father, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna
it
let
would
that
be,
go
wouldn't it?
even longer. I was gonna let that go even longer, but I was worried you were gonna cut me off and start talking.
Me? Why would I do such a thing?
Well, because you're a good co-host, so you would you hear silence, you want to pick up something here to fill it in. So yeah, and we're gonna talk about some other shit on this hour too. But yeah. By the way, I made a note to talk to you about something. Something we were talking about last week. You were disparaging soup.
Now look, what is the nature of your complaint?
Well, I was talking about, I don't remember how soup even came up, but I was talking about soup and you started talking about how it isn't a main course. I forget exactly how you phrased it.
Soup is not an entree.
It can be.
Uh,
It if you take like it could be a thick soup like a stew or a chili or
that's a
you
stew
know,
though, or that's a chili. There's a
but
line.
that is a type of soup.
Any soup that is not a better kind of dish is not an entree.
Take, if I take tomato soup and I crumble up a whole shit ton of crackers in it, you know, that's a pretty filling entree.
That's still a snack.
Corn chowder, it's a chowder, it's a soup. That is an entree. You have potatoes, you have corn, the one I get has chicken in it. You're meeting a lot of food groups right there.
I'm not falling for your soup propaganda.
I'm definitely representing the soup council, huh?
You and
Um,
my wife, she's a soup eater too.
Soup is delicious. So you don't even eat soup? It's not even like it's not an entree. You don't even eat it at all?
No, I eat soup. Soup is fine. It's just like, okay, chili, yeah, I like chili, or like, a beef stew or like a gumbo, but I don't consider that soup because it's more substantial than soup.
Then what would you consider it if it's not a soup?
It's it's a chili or it's a stew or it's gumbo.
But it falls under the category of soup. It has a
All
broth of
thumbs are
some kind.
fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs.
Exactly. And while we're talking about stuff that I had to make notes of because you were annoying me about it over the last few days. Do you want to share your thoughts on Mick Foley being the linear WWE Tag Team Champions?
Okay, so okay, this is stupid, but uh, if you check on my Twitter, I retweeted it. One of my mutuals, he for some reason he has this gimmick where he just does a podcast where he watches the 2012 Royal Rumble match over and over again and just reviews it with a different person every episode. And I don't know why or why I agreed to this. I just thought it'd be funny. But anyway, over the course of this, I realized that during the course of this match, Primo and Epico were at the time the WWE Tag Team Champions, and Mick Foley eliminated both of them. And as that was Mick Foley's last pro wrestling match, he, as far as I'm concerned, he is the linear WWE Tag Team Champions.
You seriously did a podcast watching the 2012 Royal Rumble match with somebody who just does podcasts reviewing the
I
2012 Royal Rumble
yeah.
match?
I mean, do you want to do one? I can hook you guys
Let's
up.
say,
It'd be hilarious.
how have I never been invited onto this? How, how did you end up getting an invite, not me? I figure we're a package deal with some of this shit.
I don't know. It's just like he posted on Twitter, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Why not? I don't know. I thought it'd be funny to do.
Okay, so back to the discussion point. This sounds like the kind of BS that would spew out of my mouth that you would get all angry at me for being nitpicky about. That was not a match. You cannot become the linear champions by without pinning or submitting the champion. He did not pin Primo or Epico. He did not submit Primo or Epico. He threw them over the top rope. We have actually discussed something similar in the past. I forget if it was a battle royal or was something to that effect, but you made a specific point to say that you only become the linear champion by pinning or submitting the champion. Hence, Mick Foley is not the linear WWE Tag Team Champions. And even if you want to make that argument, it is generally accepted that if someone doesn't defend their titles for a 1 year period, it gets vacated and moves to the winner of the next tag team title match in this case. So it would have restarted when Team Hell No defeated the Rhodes Scholars the next year at the Royal Rumble. Trey.
Arya, you are one of my favorite ridiculous people.
How is this ridiculous?
You're just an utterly ridiculous person.
Wow. You're
That's your
lucky
most endearing. That's your most endearing quality.
You're lucky that even though I now have a life, I continue to not have a life on Mondays and Tuesdays. Lord. Actually, tomorrow I've got kind of a life. We have to talk about tomorrow, but we'll talk about that later. Anywho,
Okay.
back to the David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions, because we're at least going to get 3 of these before it starts getting really icky. And mind you, I don't know how icky it's going to be next year or in 86. But in 87, that's where it gets super icky. But we'll see how long we last with that. So after drunk Mark Lawrence does his intro, we go to the ring where Ralph Pulley sang what was announced as God Bless America. And I was confused at first. I don't know if you were confused, but I'd never heard the preamble. Like he sang the whole fucking song, including like a preamble that no one has ever sang before. And so when they announced God Bless America and he started singing, I'm like, what the hell is he singing?
I did not see this because apparently the person that put together the cut that I watched did not think it worth including Ralph Pulley singing.
Which is hilarious because I Facebooked you the same copy that I watched.
Yeah, I didn't watch that. I watched the copy that I had.
Of course you did. So, but you saw Kamala versus Great Kabuki?
I did, yes.
Okay. Did you see 12-year-old Jill Floyd singing Heaven Needed a Champion?
I did not.
Okay.
What the
So
fuck?
out,
I'm gonna have to go on XWT Classics and find out whose ass I need to kick.
I think all you would have to do is go to YouTube and type David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions, and there was a nice, lovely 1 hour and 42 minute and 33 second version that you did not watch. Keep in
Okay,
mind,
hold on.
when
1 hour,
when I get
42 minutes.
and
Hold
33
on.
seconds.
Let me see how long the version that I watched was. Hold on. Scroll. World class. Dickory D. Okay, 1 hour, 24 minutes. What the
Okay.
fuck?
So you probably missed all the singing, but I guess we'll see if there's anything else you missed. But first of all, by the way, I'm pretty sure Ralph Poley did the national anthem on one of the Star Wars shows we watched. And I'm also pretty sure that drunk Mark Lawrence was in charge of production, as when they eventually threw up the graphic to introduce Jill Floyd, it was after they'd already cut away to shots of the crowd. So there's like 2,000 people who were all Jill Floyd. Um,
But not
by the
Freddie
way,
Joe Floyd.
no, it was not Freddie Joe Floyd. I mean, maybe Jill had a sex change in the late 80s, early 90s. Um, so, by the way, Drunk Mark Lawrence does tell us that if you like the song Heaven Needed a Champion, you can buy it at 6 convenient locations around the stadium or send $5 to the Temple Baptist Church in Louisville, Texas.
Huh.
Yes. And we'll talk about the other side of that record later on in this episode, or at least I will, because I'm going to bet Trey didn't see it. We go to Art of the Ring for our first match, which was the world-renowned Junkyard Dog versus the unpredictable and dangerous Max with General Skandor Akbar. So Max tried to attack Dog with his head at the bell, but Dog sidestepped that. Max threw a chair into the ring, which was caught deftly by the referee, and Dog used it twice on Max. And I will remember this because I'm sure there will be a DQ later on the show for something less than a chair to the head. And there was. Junkyard Dog didn't get hurt when Max went for a turnbuckle smash because, as we mentioned before, it's the 1980s, he's black, and somehow it was a stereotype that black people have hard heads. It also didn't affect Max because he's insane. And then I was so thrown off by the finish, I had to rewind it because even though it was a false finish, I was not expecting it. Dog hit Akbar, who jumped up on the apron. Max attacked Dog from behind and then hit a second rope headbutt and pinned the Junkyard Dog. Like Akbar held down Dog's foot, but still, the Junkyard Dog got pinned by Max.
I was as befuddled as you.
And then, because like I said, we're going to have disqualification for a bad reason on this show, Bronco Lubick ran to the ring at a speed I did not think was possible for him, which makes me think that he was somewhere near the ringside area. There's no way in hell he ran through all that to get to the ring that fast. And he informed the original referee, who I don't even know who that referee was, of what happened. The original referee shoved Akbar, and Dog was declared the winner by disqualification. I think in this situation, especially since we let it go earlier when Dog was hitting Max in the head with a chair, the match should have just continued, because that's a pretty light reason to DQ somebody, is to hold down their foot, or the manager hold down their foot.
Junkyard Dog and Max had a what I thought was a pretty good match, but not this one. It was the one they had on Mid-South TV like 6 months ago. No, this sucked. Didn't like anything about it. Fucking referee doesn't care that they're using chairs and shit. And then it's like I was amazed that Dog did a job to Max, even a fuck you one. And then he didn't,
Yeah.
except that he did. They made it not count, which makes this whole thing even more stupid and pointless.
Max was so upset by this referee decision that he hit himself in the head with the wooden steps as a result.
Why do they need to
Do-
protect Max? Like, why couldn't Dog just pin him?
I honestly, I'd look at this as another nail in the coffin between the world-class Mid-South relationship, because
Oh,
this is Bill Watts' big guy, and they brought him in and did a visual pinfall on him. You'd be like,
huh.
you know what? That's what the hell are you doing, man? I didn't bring in Kevin and Kerry and David and have them lose to, you know, I don't even know who a fair comparison would be. Buddy Landell, I don't want to say Butch Reed because Butch Reed's kind of pushed. Buddy
Manny
Landell
Papa with George
pressure.
Weingroff.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty close to a pretty accurate comparison.
Yeah. It'd be
Oh
like if
Lord,
Kerry and Kevin lost to the Penis Brothers.
the brother's penis. Well, I mean, you could say it's because they hit the brother's penis hit them with their giant peni.
You
So then we
know,
get
never
Mhm.
mind.
well,
Never mind.
th so then we get a match with the American Tag Team Champions, the Super D's, with General Skandor Akbar versus Iceman Parsons, who had forgotten was still in the territory, and Rock and Roll Buck Zoom Hoff. Okay, so I went through a few levels of fury during this match. We'll talk about Zoom Off because I'm pretty sure you asked me about him before I watched the show, and you asked me why do you hate Buck Zumhofe more than you hate Chris Benoit, and it's
That's not
because
exactly. Well, that's not exactly what I had. I said, why does watching Buck Zumhofe give me the ick more than watching Benoit?
okay, um, okay, so it's because while I'm not forgiving anybody for anything anybody did, it's because Chris Benoit went fucking crazy one weekend and murdered his son and his wife. Buck Zumhofe, you might want to fast forward 30 seconds, people, if you need a trigger warning. Buck Zumhofe sexually assaulted a child for years. For
Yes,
years. It's like, there is no I
and
snapped one day and did something really stupid, which is still not excusable, but,
and and
you
y'all,
know,
this isn't even like a Grizzly Smith where we have like very compelling personal allegations. No, Buck Zumhofe is a multiple times convicted pedophile who has done multiple stints in prison for it and still is today, right? As far as I know.
I believe so. I believe whenever he got caught like a decade ago or so, that was basically a life sentence after that.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, like I said, I forgot Iceman was still in the territory because we haven't seen him in a while. And to be honest, the Super D's, I guess they've been on TV a little bit lately, but they haven't really been on TV much either lately. Um, we're told that Akbar only tolerates winners in his stable. Keep in mind, Akbar's men seem to have about a 50% win percentage. So I don't know about that call there by Drunk Mark Lawrence. Iceman used his head because, again, he's African American. And this is where I started thinking, and I wanted to talk to you about this. You can do whatever you want, Trey, and I'm not going to stop you. And if you want to talk about something, I'm not going to mute you. I just may not join in. I think I'm just going to fast forward every Buck Zumhofe match from now on. Like I may just say Buck Zumhofe wrestled Bill Jones and pinned Bill Jones because I fast forward to the end of the match, and that's the extent of it. Like if you want to add more to it, knock yourself out. Here's all I'm going to say. Iceman won the match to win the tag titles with the, she calls that the rear view on one of the Ds.
But not the romper stomper. That's even worse.
Yes. Any other thoughts on this thrilling match?
No, because I just kind of I feel too gross to rate or analyze or think about this match anymore. So yeah, I'll let you know because I'm a fucking weirdo. Like I'll probably just have it on to get match times and finishes and stuff. So I'll let you know if there's ever anything worth commenting on. But other than that, as far as I'm concerned, I'm on board with your we don't talk about Zoomhoff. No.
Sounds good. Up next, we got the premiere of the Badstreet USA music video. It's the one we've all seen. It's the song we all know. I did laugh because while watching it, they did show the clip of Gordy shoving a fan who crossed the guard rope into oblivion, which I loved when it happened the first time, and I loved watching it again. I think I mentioned this the first time. It reminded me of when Keith Lee pounced Adam Cole off the TV screen.
Oh yeah. That was cool. No, again, I like this video. I think this is unironically a good song, and I'll never not be happy to hear Badstreet USA.
Badstreet, Atlanta,
Atlanta,
GA.
GA.
Badstreet in the whole US of A. Badstreet, nasty and hot. The
further down the block you went, the better it got. That's my favorite part.
All right. So from there, they all come out. The Freebirds came out again to Badstreet USA. The Von Erichs came out to their theme.
Stranglehold.
And this is a Badstreet type of match. What was something they kept calling that as a Badstreet type of match? I just loved it. So in case you are anybody on the planet other than David Manning Von Erich, a Badstreet type of match is a no holds barred, no disqualification match. I'm assuming the falls count somewhere, specifically inside the ring, but that was never, pushed at all. So I assume the finish had to be inside the ring. So anyway, here in this no disqualification match, the no disqualification match with no rules. The match starts and we have a crazy 6-man fight. And it's exactly we'd expect a 6-man match with no rules to be. Everyone is fighting each other and acting all crazy. Gordy flung a chair into the ring, and neither Bronco nor David Manning Von Erich definitely caught it, a la that referee in the opener. And then David Manning Von Erich took it upon himself. And I want to ask what fucking power he had to make this decision. He took it upon himself to take the microphone and announce that even though this match has no rules, it has one rule, and that's that only one man could be in the ring at one time.
And then by the end of the match, it was a big clusterfuck because David has no power over the actual Von Erichs.
Yeah. By the end of the match, by fucking 2 minutes into the goddamn match.
Yeah.
So based on, David Manning Von Erich's flagrant bias against the Freebirds and bias towards the Von Erichs, it makes me think, okay, the one rule of this match is that only one person could be in the ring from each team at a time. Does that mean Hayes, Gordy, and Roberts could be stabbing Fritz, Kevin, or Mike in the ring as long as only one of them are in the ring at that point?
Yeah, suppose. Why not?
Yeah. So, by the way, Fritz, the owner of the territory, ignored the rule pretty much immediately.
Fritz. I gotta talk about Fritz. Okay. I understand that the idea is that this is come as you are. Fritz came out here in like what my dad would have worn to his job as a carpenter. Like just in fucking blue jeans and a blue button-up shirt. Fucking tremendous.
Or was it even blue jeans? I thought, like,
It was it was blue jeans. And
looked,
he had a leather belt that he took off and lit Michael Hayes' ass up with.
So, by the way, we had a 5-way brawl. Why was it a 5-way brawl? Because Mike Von Erich was the only person following the rule of the match.
Well,
He stayed on the apron. He's a good, clean, young Christian athlete, I guess. He
Mike
stayed
is a
on
good
the
citizen.
apron. Yes.
Good citizen.
They got the heat on Kevin, which did surprise me a little. And then Buddy yanked Kevin's head into his crotch. Apparently he did that because his belt buckle was there and he was smashing Kevin's head into the belt buckle. But that was just an odd way to go about doing that.
It was, it was a way.
What was that?
It was a way. Something to do.
Fritz got the hot tag and broke back down to a 5-way. I literally wrote, why is Mike the only one following the rule of the match? Fritz got a double claw on Hayes and Robert, so Gordy attacked from behind. Mike finally got in the ring, especially since DMVE is ignoring it. Kevin then pinned Buddy off with a top rope crossbody, even though Fritz was the legal man. Stupid biased David Manning.
Stupid David Manning Von Erich. Shout out to Michael Hayes. As always, beating a guy in the head with a cowboy boot will always get over with me.
I like to think that, if I were to go hang out with you in Texas, you just walk down the street and hitting random people with a cowboy boot.
Well, not personally, but
Okay. So the stip of this was that not only did the Von Erichs win the 6-man tag titles, but because Fritz was not going to stay on and keep defending them, that he is allowed by the NWA to give his third of the 6-man tag team titles to Kerry. So Kerry has just won a championship in a match that he was not even in.
I have a question.
If I have an answer.
The fact that the NWA Board of Directors agreed to this stipulation that on this particular day, that if the team of Fritz, Kevin, and Mike won the World 6-Man Tag Team Championship, that Kerry, Kevin, and Mike would be the champions. Does that say that the NWA Board of Directors assumed that Kerry Von Erich would not be winning the World Heavyweight Championship on this card?
I would say yes, since, Kerry has proven time and again that he would never be able to win the big one.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Now, as we'll see next week, well, by next week, I mean like 5 minutes from now, the matches are really just edited out of order and a little bit all over the place. But the 3 matches we talked about in this first hour, they were back to back to back.
Hold on.
Was the 5th. Okay, I'm holding on.
You forgot to mention that after the match, the Von Erichs were attacked by. I'm sorry.
I'm getting to that.
I'm sorry. Can I do the quote?
I'm sure I wrote down the exact same thing you did, word for word. But just one thing: this was the 5th, 6th, and 7th match on the show, and the world title match was the 8th match on the show. But please, Trey, tell us about what happened after the match and how they introduced what happened.
After the match, the Von Erichs were attacked by, and I am quoting Drunk Mark Lawrence here, a huge, mean Oriental.
Yep. The biggest Oriental that Mark has ever laid his eyes on.
This was Kendo Nagasaki, the Japanese one, not the British one. Kazuo
Was it?
Sakurada. Yeah.
Was it?
Who's big?
I thought
Yeah,
it,
this
I thought it was Killer Khan.
I to the best of my understanding, this was Sakurada.
Well, maybe you're right.
Unless I
I
made a
thought it was
terrible
Killer Khan.
mistake. Unless I made a terrible mistake.
We'll see in a
I
few weeks
did
because
not huh.
I thought it was
Maybe
Killer
I
Khan.
maybe I don't think Killer
The,
Khan was that young in 1984, was he?
I mean, wasn't he just wrestling Andre a few years before that? Let me see here. I'm just gonna look up Killer Khan's Wikipedia. You know, instead of just going to his cage match. Um, well, this isn't gonna be too helpful, but let's see. According to the always reliable Wikipedia, okay, where the hell was it? I was just on there. He had successful runs as a monster heel in Mid-South and World Class Championship Wrestling. His world-class run saw him team with the Freebirds, teaching Terry Gordy the Oriental Spike, then turning on him paid by Akbar. So that may not be
You know
this one because
what?
Gordy already knows the Oriental Spike.
You know what? I'm never asking fucking Gemini anything again.
Gemini the American Gladiator or a different Gemini?
Gemini, the Google AI.
Okay. Why would you ask them anything? But why? What did
Because I'm
is that
fucking
where
stupid. No, it was. I think it was Killer Khan, and I don't know why. I swear, like I googled and I said, I'm just fucking stupid. I'm a very stupid
I
person. Just pretend I don't
well
exist.
well if it helps, and I mean I'd be honest, I didn't look up the other Kendo the Samurai, but Killer Khan does start wrestling right now for the territory. And his first match is defeating John Mantell in Fort Worth. So it,
Tremendous.
it if that makes you feel any better.
I
Yeah.
nothing is ever gonna make me feel better again.
I'm so sorry to hear that. So anyway, the biggest Oriental that Mark has ever laid his eyes on ran into make it 4-on-3, and despite it being 4-on-3, the Von Erichs still stand tall. We could not even get some heat for our new biggest Oriental.
Poor poor Killer Khan, and not Kendo
Yeah,
Nagasaki. I am very stupid.
it's all good. You weren't here. Yeah, the his Kendo Nagasaki's run in Mid South was right before you joined the show. Uh, I think that was the one that Akbar said that he paid more for Kendo Nagasaki than any other wrestler he's ever purchased a contract for. And then Kendo Nagasaki was here for like 2 weeks. I'm like,
No
that was a
excuse for me
really
making
bad
that level of
investment.
mistake. That's
You weren't here.
more that's more embarrassing than the fucking wrong Montreal screw job.
Oh yeah, you also tweeted about the Montreal Screwjob being a work, getting us a whole bunch of heat this week. Although, whether coincidence or not, we had a bunch of people listen to the show, the Friday Night Spot show. Um, by the way, you know, I'm definitely putting it in the description that the Montreal Screwjob is a work. See if that contributes to anybody actually listening this week. By the way, this is more of an off-air conversation, but when the hell have we ever done anything the way it should be? Um, I I know that there's not a whole lot of pre-80s full shows to watch, but it's definitely the most listened to spot shows have been the ones from before 1980 because it was the NWA Tri-State show, which still holds the record, and now the Maple Leaf show.
Huh. So we need more pre-80s shows.
Yeah. It's funny because I thought like Heroes of Wrestling, who the hell wouldn't want to listen to us eviscerate Heroes of Wrestling? Apparently nobody does. Um,
I guess it's more
and
interesting when we watch stuff that like everybody hasn't seen before.
that it isn't well, I can't even say isn't readily available because everything we're talking about is stuff that's on YouTube already. It's readily available, but we're introducing people to stuff, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, that was like the most fun that we've had recording a Friday Night Spot show yet. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go check out our watch along of wrestling from the Maple Leaf Gardens in 1957.
Along with us marking out for our new favorite wrestler in the history of pro wrestling, Baron Gattoni.
You know what
And
really would have popped the territory?
if Baron Gattoni would have been NWA champion.
Yeah, well, I was thinking if instead of Killer Khan, if they brought in Baron Gattoni, but yeah, making him world champion would have been that would have revolutionized the business.
It really would have popped the territory to bring in Baron Gattoni here in 1984, since Baron Gattoni died in 1982.
Hey, don't doubt the Baron.
Who am I to doubt Baron Gattoni? And
You
as
know,
we
that's
talked about,
I'm gonna have to. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna have to go in and create Baron Gattoni on Fire Pro because I can't imagine anybody ever has before.
make sure he's in black and white too, because I mean,
Yes.
he actually had one of the earliest WWF title matches with Bruno. I mean, it was 2 months into his reign, but I mean, actually, it's even sooner than that. He had a match with Bruno a month into his reign. June 15th, 1963, Bruno defeats Baron Gattoni in a World Heavyweight Title match at the WIIC TV studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome! I bet that was a barn burner, man. Hey,
And
is that out there? I want to watch Bruno
I,
against Baron Gattoni.
I bet that was a fucking hoss match. Um,
Bruno
I,
Sammartino, one of the greatest men that ever lived, just an absolute gentleman.
he really was, and it's like I had the pleasure of meeting him WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta. Well, the WrestleCon before that. And it's like, it was like, I don't want to say embarrassing because, hey, it worked out for us, but like nobody was in line to meet Bruno Sammartino. And we must have talked to him for 10 to
Oh,
15 minutes because, like, I don't know, maybe because like he didn't do a whole bunch of conventions and he wasn't a public figure anymore. So I was thinking maybe people don't know what he looks like anymore because like he was an older bald gentleman and he was just kind of
yeah.
standing there and I'm like, that's Bruno. Let's go say hi to Bruno. And
Yeah, I
yeah.
never had the pleasure, but he was a pretty regular guest with Brian and Dave, and just listen to those shows. Just such like a nice man, and just pleasant, and just
Mhm.
very very like humble in a really sincere, authentic way. Just R.I.P.
And
Bruno, fucking legend.
and actually he's the reason why I met Mr. Regal because Bruno was supposed to do WrestleCon in 2013, but when he agreed to do the Hall of Fame, WWE pulled him from WrestleCon, and to not piss off WrestleCon too much, they sent Mr. Regal as a substitute. And so since I already met Bruno, I was probably the only person happy with the substitution.
Well, it worked out for you.
Yes, it did. Um, so oh, by the way, do you have anything else to say about that Freebirds Von Erichs match?
No, but one more thing before we move on from Bruno. So we agreed that Baron Gattoni is the first inductee into the something else Hall of Something Else. I motioned that
Yes.
the second inductee be Bruno Sammartino's mom because that was a bad bitch.
Second. Uh, Now that I've got to make notes here about this.
No, folks, go and find like the stories about Bruno's mother. This during World War II when fascist Italy had essentially been like this is after Italy had the Italian fascists had been pretty much knocked out of power and that whole section of Italy had been overrun by the Nazis. These Bruno's mother took like what like two children and hid in the caves for like a couple of years and would sneak down to the village to steal food. And she got fucking shot by the Nazis at least once and still made it back. Just Bruno Sammartino's mom was a real one.
She's officially the second inductee into the Something Else Hall of Something Else. Bruno Sammartino's mom, inducted May 19th, 2025, for being a bad bitch.
Deservedly so.
We're going to talk about that like a year from now. Be like, why did I list Bruno Sammartino's mom for being a bad bitch?
What did we do on that show? The fucking first annual David Von Erich. How did that come up? We're gonna be so confused.
That's gonna be. Who would have thought you and I went off on a tangent? What the hell is that all about?
Can't imagine such a thing.
But by the way, I can't fucking believe it's been almost 20 years since that fucking May 19th angle.
Right, I had to text my high school best friend Dustin this morning just because that's been like a running inside joke with us for 20 years. Wow, cannot believe it.
Well, 19 years because it was 2006, but yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I think
well, very nearly.
Did we just discuss this on the show recently? Because I know I was talking to somebody about it. It may have been you, but I mentioned that like the one part of that angle that I loved was it was an episode of SmackDown, and it was during the angle where they were squashing Rey Mysterio every week while he was world champion. He got
Yeah, I
squashed by
remember
the Great
this.
Khali and Mark Henry and all that, and it was all the build to his match with Bradshaw. And Bradshaw was like, Ray, I know you've gotten your ass kicked lately, but do you know where you are? I'm like, well, Ray, don't even answer. You're in whatever city we're in this week. Ray, do you even know what year this is? Wait, Ray, don't even answer. It's 2006. Ray, do you even know what day today is? Ray's like, it's May 19th. And Bradshaw's like, oh my God, you said it. You said the date. You said it. And out came Kane and killed Rey Mysterio, which I'll be honest, I wasn't a fan of Rey getting squashed as world champion, but that was at least a really humorous way to do it that day.
Yeah, I do remember talking about that because I remember talking about the most maliciously booked world title reign ever.
Probably. We probably did it on the show.
I think so.
Um, but yeah, and in case you forget what the payoff to that was, May 19th ended up being the day that The Undertaker set the funeral home on fire that killed his mom, his stepdad, and caused him to be permanently scarred, forcing him to wear a big ugly mask off and on for several years, except for when he was boinking Katie Vick or when he decided that male pattern baldness wasn't anything to be ashamed of.
Wasn't it like right after that that Gallows came in as the fake Kane?
Yes, when he came in as foam, because that was
Oh.
what it led to. And that's when his costume ripped on the first day.
Uh,
So Gallows tells the story that Vince had no idea that he was Festus. Do you think he had any idea that he was the fake Kane?
but he had no idea that he was the freaking Deacon, which was the first thing I saw him as.
I never saw him as freaking Deacon. He was in not Derby Championship Wrestling. He was in
Yeah.
Deep South Wrestling as freaking Deacon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mentioned it once before, I think on the show, but the very first WWE house show that I went to in September 2005, like the second match on the show was Mike Mizanin against the freaking Deacon.
I got this was not my first WWE house show, it was my second one actually. December 2005. It was in Bethlehem, PA, and I think it was Tyson Tomko and Snitsky, I think, versus Chris Cage, he wasn't Trent Beretta, right? Trent Beretta was the one who wasn't Chris Cage, right? Or was Chris
Kaylee
Cage Trent
Croft.
Beretta? Yeah, whichever one. And
Was
The
the-
Miz. Because
Huh.
they were going to do a Party Boy tag team but whoever Kalen Croft is ended up getting, or not Kalen Croft, but yeah, Kalen Croft, because it was Chris Cage, ended up getting fired because he took the gimmick a little too seriously, and apparently really was partying hard.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Speaking of duos who you wonder what would have happened if Vince would have been stubborn as fuck and just went with it anyway. Remember when? I remember when they did a random tryout on a Heat with CM Punk and Mickie James as a team.
Really? I don't remember this.
Yeah, I don't think it got aired. I think it got edited off. But like this was before Mickie was Trish's stalker. It was like right after Punk got signed. It was like maybe even before he officially went to OVW.
Was it like?
I think. Mm-hmm.
Did he wrestle Val Venus on Heat around that time?
I was at that show. Yes.
Really?
That was his,
oh wow.
That was his first WWE singles match, and it was technically a tryout. Him versus Val Venus in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and that was not his first WWE match. Actually, he had a few. He had they just put it up on the WWE Vault not that long ago. Him and somebody took on the Legion of Doom in like 2003.
Yeah.
And then there was a match, I think, against Simon Dean and Maven, where wasn't it like he told Lillian to announce him as Ace Steel or something, and he was introduced as him and whoever he teamed with was introduced as the team of CM Punk. Like he was Russell Simpson. That's right. CM Punk was Russell Simpson, and him and whoever he teamed with were introduced as the team of CM Punk.
I don't remember that. That's funny.
Yes. It's anywho. By the way, we're about halfway through the David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions. Let's go to the second intro of the show with drunk Mark Lawrence, who was so drunk he had to do 2 intros. What the hell's wrong with this guy? They need an intervention, and soon.
This is the greatest card the world has ever seen. Professional wrestling, Texas Stadium's Parade of Champions, a memorial to David Von Erich. Here at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas, home of the Dallas Cowboys, I'm Mark Lawrence for World Class Championship Wrestling. It's great to have you with us. On this telecast, you're going to be seeing the World Heavyweight Championship. Kerry Von Erich challenging World Heavyweight Champion Nature Boy Ric Flair. You're going to see the mixed tag bout, the men and women wrestling together legally. Chris Adams and Sunshine against gorgeous Jimmy Garvin and his valet Precious. And coming up next, it's Chick Donovan versus Hacksaw Butchery. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Alrighty. So I mean that was the second intro. And yeah, so Flair versus Kerry, the mixed tag, and Chick Donovan versus Butch Reed. And of course we also have a bonus match that we'll get to afterwards. And I'll get to my theory on it anyway. But
right.
yeah, so I had to laugh because Flair versus Kerry is not the main event on this show.
Really?
I mean, it's the main event on the Texas Stadium show. It was the last match, but it wasn't the last TV match.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. I just thought that was kind of funny. It's like it's not even like they were like, oh, it's a standby match or whatever. No, it's just like, hey, here's the mixed tag match. That was actually the second match on the show. We're gonna put that last.
See, I saw the matches in like the actual order that they were on the card. So I'm just baffled at the ordering of on the shows.
I'm just fucking with you here and just going all over the place, I guess.
Oh yeah, I was started in the middle, and now we got to go back to the beginning,
and then go to the end, and then go back to the beginning again. At least I didn't make you watch John Mantell versus Kelly Kiniski. That just didn't exist. Were either the intros in the version you saw?
The first one was up until the Badstreet USA clip. It just had the first part, so I don't. I'm just usually this stuff is cut better. That's strange.
You should have clicked on the stupid YouTube link I sent you.
I didn't even know you
Instead,
sent me a YouTube.
it
I didn't
was
even know
to
you.
be fair, it was a couple weeks ago, to be fair, but I kind of assumed that maybe not bookmark it, but it kind of kept it in the back of your head that here's where it is. Because you'd
Well,
said
no,
the
because I
version,
had the version I was gonna watch.
well, because we had talked about it, and you said that your version was like an hour and 20 minutes, and I said I was sure there was a longer version, and I found this one, which
Oh,
was hour 42, and I sent it to you.
yeah. Okay.
Anyway, we'll see what else you didn't see, because I'm pretty sure I know what the next thing you didn't see is, but we'll get to that here in a minute. But we go to the next match, which was Chick Donovan versus Butch Reed. Mark Pulley was out of breath for some reason, and even after watching the mixed tag match, which was the second match and the one that preceded this in real life, I'm still not sure why he was so out of breath. Reed won what was essentially a Butch Reed squash match. If you've watched any Butch Reed squash match on Mid-South, you saw this match. Just this time, it was outdoors in front of 30,000 people,
Yeah.
and he was taking on Wish.com Lex Luger.
I wrote Bitch Steed versus Timu Lex Luger. But yeah, okay, this match was chronologically for me the first time that I heard Mark Lawrence say that this was the largest crowd to ever see professional wrestling anywhere. And that was when I went down the rabbit hole talking to you and then messaging Dave about the gate records. For no reason. I knew he was lying. I was just actually starting to wonder what the record would have been in 1984. And I figured it was the Jim Lundo stuff in Greece, but yeah, and it was.
Also, the way you said it, the way you asked me, I thought you meant, was this the record in 1984? Like, of all the shows in 1984, was this the record in
Uh,
84? And it's like,
I'm
probably, you know?
victim of a misplaced modifier.
Yeah. Oh, well. Okay. So I'm pretty sure you did not see this next segment especially since you did not see the Heaven Needed a Champion and God Bless America, you did not see the ensuing musical performance, did you?
Did I miss Glenn Goza? I'm gonna be sick if I miss Glenn Goza.
Oh, you didn't just miss Glenn Goza. Um,
Oh, the
first,
greatest song of all time? Was it? Oh my God. How did
oh,
they not? Oh, I'm offended.
I, okay, well, wait until we get to see what the greatest song of all time is here. But first, a skeevy old man was shown in the crowd, and he was introduced as the leader of the Texas Beauty Pageant Association. This guy was so skeezy that I covered the top of my drink. Um,
That's a little on the nose.
yeah. And then a woman named Jill Rogers, who was apparently Miss Texas and represented Texas in the Miss America contest, which is what Miss Texas does, sang something called the Texas Trilogy. And I guess I should have said something to you because I figured you saw this. My next question was, Trey, what the hell is this?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, she sang something called the Texas Trilogy. On the live mic, by the way, she announced that the microphone wasn't working, which was just great. This thing went so long that I got up. I went into two rooms from here because the way my apartment's set up, it's my living room, leads into my bedroom, leads into the kitchen. So I went to my kitchen, got a bowl of cereal, put the cereal in the bowl, got the milk out of the fridge, put the milk in the cereal, closed the lid on the milk, put the milk back in the fridge, put the cereal back on the shelf, closed the shelf, walked back into my living room where Jill Rogers was still singing. This
Wow.
fucking thing, like, I didn't have the stopwatch out. This was the second longest match on the show, I'm pretty sure.
I'm heartbroken that I missed it.
And then I wrote, oh, for fuck's sake, Glenn Goza was now introduced to sing David and the Poet.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't the greatest song of all time.
Suddenly, my desire to watch the whole show evaporated. Where is that Kelly Kineski, John Mantell 15-minute time limit draw when you need it? They showed the most disinterested man in the world staring at the ring afterwards. I'm like, this may have been my great uncle. It's like a 60-year-old man just like, what the fuck am I watching? Oh Lord.
Wow.
I I'm so sad you missed the Texas trilogy. Now I have now I have
I'm
to actually look
disappointed.
this up, see if I can find it. Because I fully expected you to know this. Um, the Texas trilogy, I mean, apparently it's okay. Well, apparently I need to narrow it down because the Texas trilogy is a bunch of plays. Um, okay, so I don't know which version of this it is, but there's YouTube videos of the Texas trilogy that's 10 minutes long and another that's 13 minutes long. It would not surprise me if it was the 13-minute version. Because Jesus Christ,
Wow.
she would not stop singing.
And you won't stop talking about it.
I figure I need to give it the respect that it deserves. Um,
Ah.
we then get the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. Ric Flair in his beautiful jacket versus Kerry Von Erich. Mark Lawrence, our venerable ring announcer, our venerable play-by-play guy these last 2 weeks, informs us that there was only one World Heavyweight Champion, and he represents the entire world. Thank you, Mark Lawrence. No one would have figured that one out. So,
Well,
I'm, mhm.
he just figured that out, so he thought he'd smarten us up too.
There you go, I guess. So, as we mentioned a few months ago, not that Kerry would have had zero shot at getting it, but the final decision to give Kerry the belt had nothing to do with David being dead. The real final reason that Kerry got the belt was because the NWA was afraid Fritz was going to go with Vince, which was a very real possibility in 1984. Because if you remember, Dallas was the one territory Vince did not try to go in and take over. Even when Fritz sent him footage of his boys, Vince didn't go and try to take them from him. Hell, they announced David's death on the WWF TV show. Um, and Kerry being Kerry is the reason why he doesn't hold the belt very long. Because they're doing a show. The NWA is doing a big show in the Meadowlands at the end of May, and they want Flair as champion because it means more than Kerry as champion. Now, they did Flair versus Steamboat on that show, which obviously is a much better match than Flair versus Kerry would have been, but I think it may have been better, like, just for a fan standpoint, that they did the world title change there instead of in Japan. There's only a couple days difference, you know?
Uh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody promised it to Baba.
Maybe they were thinking about it, but then they got to that show in Japan and saw that Kerry had carved his initials into the belt. Like, oh, that's
No,
tremendous.
it's funny, but the truth is, Kerry won the title knowing what day and where he was going to lose it.
Oh yeah,
He won the title March 6th. I'm sorry, May 6th. He
May
loses
6th.
it May 24th in Yokosuka, Japan.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like, I mean, obviously a much shorter length of time, but it's like when Superstar won the belt from Bruno. He was told you're going to lose it on February 20th of next year to Bob Backlund, and we ain't changing those plans. And they did not change those plans.
That
Um,
kind of fucked with Superstar mentally, I think.
I mean, definitely, like it. It's easy to look back at that and say they should have kept the belt on Superstar for as long as he was drawing. But at the same time, that's not what the WWF territory was. The fact that he got the belt for 9 or 10 months was completely backwards to what the WWF did at the time. Like they always had the
Yeah.
babyface champion and the heel held it to be a transitional 1 month champion or 1 week champion or whatever.
Okay, hold on. I was trying to think who would be the next heel to have a reign that long, and at first I thought Savage, but Savage wasn't a heel until like the last month or so, right?
Yep,
So
he doesn't turn heel until February of '89 and loses it in April, so about 2 months. And he actually drew really well as a heel champion too. Like they could have done something to keep that belt on Savage for longer. But yeah, it was um they didn't want to go against the grain there. So I guess it would depend on what your definition of a long title reign would be, but I mean the next one would be Yokozuna. He held it from King
okay,
of the
yeah,
Ring to
yeah,
WrestleMania. You were
yeah.
thinking
Okay, that's
Triple
it.
H too, weren't you?
Well, I was thinking like Flair, because even Flair only had it for a couple of months each time.
Yeah,
But yeah, Yokozuna is the answer I was looking for. You're right.
yeah. Flair held it from the Rumble to WrestleMania, which was,
Yeah.
2.5 months. And then he held it for 5 weeks when he won it the day after SummerSlam aired. So he lost
So
on October 12th.
did you see the entrances?
I did.
Okay, yeah. For Kerry, first of all, poor Rick didn't get his music, at least as far as I could hear. And then
Nope.
Kerry, they started off playing Tom Sawyer, and then they segued into Texas When I Die by Tanya Tucker.
Hmm.
And then, Flair, it was announced, can lose the title by DQ because reasons, I guess.
I mean, I think that was done basically just to be like, in case you have any doubt,
Oh,
people sitting at home, that we're going to change the title here. We're going to close every possible loophole you can think of.
okay.
And
So one of those giving the audience the icky that this is going to be the title change.
yeah, the match had no time limit and it could change hands on a DQ.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Well,
I actually dug out Flair's book because I'm like, okay, he must have told, a really good story about this. He doesn't really. He just it's like he talks about Kerry being unreliable and talked about a different really bad Kerry match he had. And this wasn't a bad match, but he basically said that he knew it was a big night for Kerry and he was not going to come up with a big complex finish because Kerry wouldn't
right.
remember it anyway. And
Yeah.
thi- this was probably the most basic match that Ric Flair had that entire run as a world champion. Like, honestly, like the next most basic match he probably ever had was once Russo started booking WCW and his matches would be 2 minutes long. You know, like
Yeah.
this was Ric Flair went out and did light calisthenics for 11 minutes.
You're right. You're right. And then, but also, I have to say, this match was perfect for what it needed to be on this day, right? It is a simple match that Flair laid out to be simple because you couldn't depend on Kerry to remember anything complicated. But they didn't need to because no number of high spots was going to get a bigger reaction than what they got.
Yeah.
Look,
This
okay.
was 11 minutes long, and it did not need to go a second longer. It was just good enough to not be bullshit, but not complex enough that it might fall apart. Kerry got the claw on. Flair got out of it with a knee to the gut. Kerry kicked out of the figure four. They blocked hip tosses, and Kerry won with a backslide. And part of the reason the crowd went as nut as they did, there was zero shenanigans.
Yeah.
None. There was nothing where you could even go, hey, maybe there's going to be some sort of shenanigans here. No. There was no over the top rope, no off the top rope, no closed fist, no ref bump, no Ric Flair went out and grabbed the belt and made a threatening motion. No, nothing like that.
No.
So even the densest fan up in section 409 could tell you that this result isn't being reversed. Kerry Von Erich is your world champion.
The finish was very much he called a quick one on the world champion, but that was all it had to be. That was exactly what it was needed. Look, okay, to me, a 4-star match is the equivalent of getting like 100% on an assignment. Like a perfect score as far as doing what the assignment asked of you. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a 4-star match.
I would say that. I would definitely say that. And then Flair told Kerry that he'd be back before leaving. Kerry wrapped the title in the Texas flag, and fought through the mob to get to the back, where he was congratulated by Fritz and Doris. And Fritz, by the way, was still wearing his wrestling gear. And just put his glasses on. I'm like, I bet Fritz has not showered, and that I'd have been shocked if he had, I guess, at this point.
Well, why would you? Because, look, watching, like, there's a point in this match toward the end, Rick tries to climb the fucking ropes, and I just, outside in Texas in May, I was sweating just thinking about it.
Now, did you see the promo afterwards?
Which promo?
The Kerry Von Erich promo.
No, I guess not.
All right, well, let's go to Kerry Von Erich, who's in the dressing room with drunk Mark Lawrence and Fritz Von Erich.
Not only the youngest man ever to hold a world belt, but the only man ever to hold 2 world titles, the world heavyweight belt and the 6-man belt. Kerry, how does it feel?
Well, Mark, it's speechless. Just it feels great. Today the world belongs to Texas, because if it wasn't for the Texas people, we wouldn't have nothing. And you know what else? My brother David tonight, he had the best seat in the house, right upstairs looking down, and just God bless him, man, because he saw everything I did, and we're just so happy.
All right. Now, Fritz, this has been a goal for you and your family for years. How do you feel?
It's a belt I was never able to get. David was on the way. Kerry did it tonight. All the way, 100%, all for David.
And
feel better.
What an electrifying feeling it was for this record-setting crowd, Kerry. How did you feel out there in front of 50,000?
Well, I felt great, Mark. The preparation. I was so prepared for the fight, and I was so up, and the stadium was just electrified, and so I was ready, and the people were behind me, and so in turn, I won the world title.
Here, Kevin and Mike. Any comments quickly, Kevin?
Just that he's the greatest wrestler in the world. Here's the belt to prove it. The greatest wrestler of all time, Kerry Von Erich.
Here we are, Kerry Von Erich, the youngest man ever to hold the World Heavyweight Championship and the only man ever to hold 2 world titles, the World Heavyweight belt and the 6-man world title. What a day.
Okay, I'm going to say something mean. Mean but honest. I did not notice the first time I watched this, Chris was there, because Chris walked in and stood behind Mark Lawrence, and Mark Lawrence is towering over Chris Von Erich.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh, poor Chris.
Oh Lord.
Poor Chris.
I was actually thinking about this earlier. I was like, man, I'm kind of surprised I didn't see Chris in this, because I knew Chris was there and I thought they showed him, but yeah. So there's a little bit of an asterisk on this, because drunk Mark Lawrence calls Kerry the youngest world champion in history. There's an asterisk. Technically, he was the youngest National Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Champion. However, despite the fact that my 10,000 attempts to Google it under a different phraseology, despite what Google kept trying to tell me, Randy Orton is not the youngest world champion in wrestling history. Lou Thesz was, at 20 years old, winning the National Wrestling Association world title back in the 30s. Now, I knew about Thesz, and maybe there's one that was younger than that, but that's the reason why I was Googling it, because I'm like, well, maybe like the WWA title, like Bruiser's title out of Indy, there might have been a younger champion or something. But yeah, like Google, no matter how you word it, no matter how you phrase it, the answer comes up as is Randy Orton, because he's the youngest world champion in WWE history.
How old was Kerry here?
24, I think. I think it was like just his 24th birthday. Let me see.
Uh,
February 3rd, 1960. So yeah, he was 24 in a few months. So he may have been a little younger than
Shinsuke
Randy Orton.
Shinsuke
Yeah, go ahead.
Nakamura won the IWGP Heavyweight title at 23.
Well, to be fair, that was after this.
Yes. Well, so was Randy Orton.
Well, but I mean that I'm just bringing up Orton because that's what Google kept trying to force on me here. Um, when he won it, he was 24 in 4 months. So technically, Kerry got him beat by a month.
Okay.
And technically, if you want to argue semantics, Shinsuke Nakamura did not win a world title. He won the IWGP Heavyweight title, which was which is different than the IWGP World Heavyweight title, which is just I'm just gonna say that is
I
the
reject
dumbest
that
thing
semantic.
ever. Yeah, I reject
that semantic.
I rejected it while I was saying it. Believe me. I was like I know I think I'm in the minority when I say this. I like the IWGP World Title belt.
Me too.
Like I know I think a lot of people just hate change, which is funny because the IWGP
They
title's
do.
changed half a dozen times.
You know what's
But it's like-
funny? Because like the people who came along like in the New Japan fandom, like during the period that you did in the 2010s, are like so attached to the IWGP V4. And I remember when they debuted it, thinking it looked like a complete piece of shit. It grew on me, obviously, but I thought the same thing about the one that everybody loves at first.
My biggest issue with it is that they started the lineage over when they started doing the IWGP World Title. Because like even when it was the V4 title or whichever, they never ignored the prior lineage. When they would do those videos at the start of the match, at the start of the World Title match, where they show all the previous champions, they'd show all the previous IWGP champions. Now it's like the IWGP World Title is a completely new title, and I reject that.
Okay, I don't want to get into this argument because I had it at the time. The idea, they haven't shown the fucking graphic in a long time, the video, and I wish they would because I actually really like it. But when they did show the video for the first few World Heavyweight title matches, like it was meant to represent, and they do show in the video that the World Heavyweight title represents a fusion of the lineages of the Intercontinental and Heavyweight title. It doesn't matter, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. Have we talked about this fucking mixed tag yet?
No, we haven't even gotten to that part yet. Wow, I really touched a nerve on that one. I just want to say one last thing about belts and we'll move on. I really like the current version of the WWE Intercontinental title. And I think more people would like it if it hadn't replaced like one of those all-time legendary title belts.
I liked the first version of this one. When they put the blue paint on it, it became perfect. I will say, just because I like creating controversy, I am in the minority, and it's because I'm an Attitude Era kid. But I like the Oval Intercontinental title better than the more famous one.
You like heartburn too. I it's funny because I don't know, I forget what action figure it came with, but the IC title came with one of my action figures and had a purple strap, and that's when
I have
realized,
one of those
like,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine came with
so
an
it's
Edge action figure, I remember.
maybe it was Edge, I don't remember, but either way, it's kind of like how I figured out that the Undertaker was a redhead because his Hasbro toy, like they knew he had red hair, and instead of really looking at the guy on TV and simulating the hair color, they just gave him bright red hair. That's how I discovered that the Oval IC title was a shade of dark purple because the belt itself, the toy, was purple. Who was it? Was it Layla, the Diva Search winner, Michelle McCool's partner? It's like she's African American, but she's not like overly African American. She's lighter skinned, but her action
I think
figure.
she's British. She's British, isn't
Yeah,
she?
well, fine. She's African British, but you know what I mean.
Black. You can say
She's
black,
black.
Arya.
Fine, she's black, but she's a lighter skinned black woman.
Yes.
But her
Yes.
action figure, it was like whoever made her action figure knew that she was black, so it's like she was Mark Henry levels of black.
At the risk of being problematic, I always thought that Layla was very pretty.
I'm like kind of like, how was that problematic? Is your wife in the same room?
No, I just don't like to. It's not polite
You,
to comment on people's appearance.
yes, let's wait till the Thursday show when we talk about you not liking to talk about people's appearances. I had I had a thing for Ashley Massaro because I liked the girls who were different and like fine, she was a little punk rock and that was different enough for me,
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah. Yeah, she was cool. She had her own thing.
Yeah. Molly Holly and her big ass. It was and her ass wasn't even that big.
I love Molly Holly. I think she was beautiful. I think she was a great worker. She's
Yeah.
tremendous all around.
She still is beautiful. Have you
Yeah.
seen her recently?
You know,
Um,
last time I saw her, she still looks as good as ever. Yeah.
Molly Holly and Victoria were my the two women I
Oh,
had crushes on.
I had a particular fondness for Victoria. I'm a Mickey James guy. I
Mhm.
got a thing for petite brunettes.
Oh yeah, brunettes are great. I always thought Mickey James was hot, but then do you remember that episode of Raw where Joey Styles did the "I'm not good enough to call backlash" promo?
Yes, yes.
Um, so on that show there was a cheerleader match with Mickey James and Victoria versus it doesn't even matter who the hell they wrestled, but Mickey and Victoria were in blue cheerleader outfits, and they had the WWE.com photo shoot, and Mickey looked so fucking hot. Like that was one of the oh my God, I'm madly in love with Mickey James, you know,
Who are
photo
your
shoot.
who are your birthday buddy wrestlers? Who are the wrestlers that share your birthday?
Paul Orndorff. I'm sure
Oh,
there's
really?
others, but Paul Orndorff is only the only one I can ever remember.
I've actually identified four now. Jeff Hardy, Mickey James, Animal Hamaguchi, and also just I noticed when I looked up his age, Callum Newman was born on my 15th birthday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, there's one other one. Eddie Sharkey was born on my
Oh,
birthday.
how about that?
Yes. Um, I, oh my God. So this is when I knew I was getting really fucking old because a few years ago I did the looked up the celebrities who share your birthday thing, and I had no idea who most of these fucking people
Yeah.
were. Let me see if I can find it.
Uh,
Uh, when Winona Ryder, obviously I know who she is. Gabrielle Union, I know who she is. Dan Castellaneta, Richard Dreyfuss. But let me see here. Okay, so I'm gonna read you the name of people who I share a birthday with. Oh, I also share one with Bob Ross. So that's always great.
oh,
Okay. So this is from famousbirthdays.com. So if any of this is incorrect, blame famousbirthdays.com. And I also believe I am just as famous as some of these people. The number one most famous person born on October 29th, apparently, FGTV Duddy.
I'm sorry.
FG, like Franklin Gerald, T-E-E, the letter V, Duddy, Duddy. He is
The
50 years old.
the most famous person that I know that shares my birthday would be the actor Richard Gere, And the only reason I know that is that on an episode of The Simpsons, like many, many years ago, there was a Richard Gere cameo, and he, in the show, said that his birthday was August 31st.
Nice. So elsewhere on this list is Spencer Barbosa, who's a 22-year-old brunette, whoever the hell she is. She's cute, but kind of looks like Bo Dallas's younger sister. Like, not the real Bo Dallas's younger sister, like Mika or whatever her name is. Talking about
The
like
real Bo Dallas's younger sister also looks like Bo Dallas's younger sister.
She does. She looks a lot like Bo Dallas's younger sister.
I'm sorry, she looks just like him, and it's very unfortunate for her.
Or Mika. Grace Condor, whoever the fuck that is. Stromedy. Blarg. These are not real people.
Blarg? Spell it. Spell Blarg.
B-L-A-R-G. Blarg.
I'm sorry. You, Arya Whitner, are more famous than Blarg.
He is a YouTube star, apparently. As is Stromedy.
You've written for the Wrestling Observer.
Stromedy and Grace Condor are both YouTube stars. Now, this is one name, but it's going to be impossible for me to not say it like it's two names. Big Puffer.
Meat Puffer?
Big Puffer. B-I-G-P-U-F-F-E-R.
Okay,
one word.
Okay.
So it's not
Meat
Big
Puffer.
Puffer.
Oh. Okay.
Big Puffer.
Meat Puffer would be something else. Okay.
Oh my God. So also
Arya.
I gotta say this one last one before we get to the mixed tag.
Okay.
Madison Condor, whomever the hell that is, she's 3 years old.
You're also more famous than Madison Condor. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Dallas Soup. This is the one time I'll agree with you that Soup sucks.
Fuck you, Soup.
Lainey Smith, who's allegedly 17, but I'm pretty sure the girl that they're showing a picture of is like 12.
You think Dallas Soup is listening to us right now? I don't know why it wouldn't be. I'm sorry I said fuck you, Dallas Soup.
I'm sure you're a wonderful person, Dallas Soup, and come on to the show sometime. But yeah, I don't even make the top 48. Like literally, I think the youngest person I know on here is Winona Ryder, who's 53.
Oh, love Winona Ryder.
Randy Jackson, actually, Gabrielle Union's 52, so technically she's younger. Tracy Ellis Ross is 52. These are the people that I actually know. Yeah, Dan Castellaneta is 67. And Richard Dreyfuss is 77. And that's it for people I actually know who the hell they are.
My favorite Winona Ryder related fact is that when she and Johnny Depp were together, he got a tattoo that said Winona Forever. And then after they broke up, he had it changed to Wino Forever.
Okay. That's why you don't tattoo your spouse's name on you. Just ask The Undertaker.
Oh, Sarah. Sarah Undertaker, as RD used to always call her, Sarah Undertaker.
I gotta say, Undertaker's definitely got a type, doesn't he?
He's got a type. Yeah, he's got a type.
Anyway, suddenly on a show that had a pageant winner, a state pageant winner, I saw the most beautiful sight I'd ever seen on this show. Let's go to the ring before the mixed tag match for the debut promo of Gino Hernandez.
Yes.
One time, I've heard it 10,000 times today that this is the greatest wrestling card of all time. Well, so what if the Von Erich? So what if there's 50,000 of you here? No card is the greatest wrestling card of the world without Gino Hernandez, the handsome half-breed. Furthermore, I don't know what these two mentally deranged females are doing in a ring. And you call yourself gorgeous. And you washed up hot. Come 2 weeks from now, whichever one of you washed up has-beens is champ. San Juan, Puerto Rico, you'll be all mine.
Well, the words of Gino Hernandez making a challenge to the winner of...
So does this mean that Puerto Rico has the jurisdiction to sanction an American title match? I mean, I know they're an American territory, but, you know, I'd have to run that by the state athletic commissions.
Hey, Americans conquered Puerto Rico fair and square.
Anyway, so Gino Hernandez is here. I'm so fucking happy. And plus, I'm pretty sure we're not going to have Paul Bosch on the goddamn show every week, doing announcing for Gino's matches. So that's even better.
The show's probably gonna see uptick in quality soon, I would think.
Well, now that we'll get to it, but we're almost at the end of this fucking feud between Jim Garvin and Chris Adams, or as I wrote, Chris Admus, because apparently after they've wrestled for 9 months, I can't spell his name right. So Gino Hernandez wants to wrestle whichever one of the washed-up has-beens is champion in 2 weeks in Puerto Rico. Okay, then.
Yeah.
I don't know why it has to be in Puerto Rico.
Maybe they made a deal with Carlos Colon.
You think the deal with Carlos Colon would be for Carlos Colon to get the title?
Well, let's not get crazy.
Okay. Carlos Colon is not high up rankings enough to earn an American title match.
Isn't Carlos Colon the champion of the universe?
He is. He defeated Ric Flair to determine the champion of the universe.
Yeah, because the universe is bigger than the world.
Indeed. By the way, shout out to Zoey Stark. Hope she's not really hurt. She did a missile drop kick to Kairi Sane and apparently landed awkwardly on her knee.
Oh, hope she's all right.
Yep. Bailey sent out a one-word tweet that just said Zoe with a heart. And,
oh no! The last lesbian standing is no longer standing.
I hope you're sitting down for this. We may get some bigum heat here on the internet. Thunder Rosa sent out love to Zoey Stark.
Oh, that's going to cause some controversy.
Yes. Oh my God! Do you remember during the first Double or Nothing when they did Cody versus Dustin, and a lot of WWE wrestlers were watching the damn show because they would be posting stuff about it? The amount of bullshit people were saying on their Twitter. Like,
that doesn't surprise me at all.
Like, grow the fuck up, people. I'm still having a hard time believing AEW's been around for 6 years.
And it's so ridiculous. Like, just go on Twitter and look at the way that they've turned on Ricochet.
It's hilarious that, like, Tony Khan could have been held at gunpoint and he was never going to turn Cody Rhodes heel when the entire crowd had turned on him. But, like, nowadays, if somebody looks at one of the wrestlers wrong, they're turned heel. Like, looking for Ricochet.
I just think it's hilarious that Ricochet, like, had to leave the Entertainers and immediately started doing the best character work he's ever done.
That is hilarious. It helps when you're given the chance to do some good character work.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert from last week on Dynamite, the zero-haired man defeated the one-legged man.
That was tremendous. That was a tremendous move. Man, shout out to Zack Gowen. Like, he's not fucking, like, Ultimo Dragon or anything. But anytime that dude's been in a position to, like, deliver an important match, like, he always, like, he has. He had a good match here. I'll always remember the match with Vince where Vince hit a fucking 11 on the Muda scale. That was like way better than any business being. Good for Zack Gowen. I'm sure he was just so happy to get the chance to do that.
That was the year where Vince kept bleeding gushers because he also had one get in the Buried Alive match against The Undertaker where he found the vein and was bleeding up a storm. And I was shocked. Like, I was shocked there was no fucking infection because when you're around dirt, legitimate dirt, with a big giant gash in your head, that's not good.
We're never going to talk about this mixed tag match, are we?
Did you notice that drunk Mark Pulley did not even announce Sunshine? He said their opponent, Gentleman Chris Adams.
God damn it, Mark Pulley. You had one job.
The fans, admittedly, well, let's say this. The fans were a lot more into the women doing their spot than they were into Adams and Garvin doing anything. Garvin had tried tagging out due to getting his ass kicked, and then he had to promptly tag right back in because Precious was getting her ass kicked, and the crowd cared a lot less. And this is when I decided to take a look. Now, cage match, they're pretty thorough. But, there's some matches that I'm sure, there's some shows they're missing. There's some matches I'm sure they didn't have. But since this feud began with that first TV match on August 26th, 1983, it is now May 6th, 1984. These two have wrestled each other no fewer than 90 times.
Jesus.
And of those 90 times, 18 were tags, 2 were battle royals, but 70 were singles matches.
Jeez.
And you wonder why I'm fucking sick of this feud. And by the way, here's the finish. Adams pinned Garvin off camera while Sunshine threw Precious out of the ring. After the match, Precious walloped Sunshine with a purse, insinuating that yes, this feud must continue.
Okay, did you see, how did Adams get busted open? Like, they went under 5 minutes and they did hardly anything.
I have no idea. I just know, like I said, I'm not being facetious when I say that this feud is going to continue, because this feud is going to continue.
It sure is.
Because, yeah, by the way, after we got the heat on Sunshine, we couldn't even keep the heat on Sunshine because they kept, because Sunshine immediately gets up and runs after Precious up the aisle. But, yeah, so who knows how many of these we're actually going to be forced to watch. But they have a dozen more matches. But, well, I guess that's in St. Louis, so that doesn't count. So they have 11 more matches between now and July 22nd.
I really hope that they play the one for the Superdome on Mid-South and you just pull your hair out and scream.
I will lose my mind. By the way, they also have a loser leaves town cage match, which I guess it depends on who actually ate the pin in this match. But that is not their last match together in world class.
Of course not.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is because it's the same day as another show. So depending on which show was first, I guess. So it could have been. It could have been, but I'm going to be led to believe that the Loser Leaves Town cage match happened in the afternoon, and the random tag match that night or the random other tag match happened that night.
The contract was already signed.
Yes. Oh my God. Seriously, I'm so fucking tired of this feud. Any thoughts about this fucking match?
No, like it was whatever. They gave the people what they want. Sunshine got to beat up on Precious. They screamed. It was the finish was like how they just missed the finish completely. Whatever. This feud, I'm sure we'll see this match again. They'll probably do this again at the Sportatorium, and they'll do it on the Fort Worth TV. And it'll be like 35 minutes, and then that'll be like the one time that they're like, well, we're going to show you a special match from Fort Worth. And then we're going to get like a whole fucking show that's just them wrestling.
No, it'll be a 2-match show. That'll be one, and then Rock and Roll Buck Zoom Hoff will be in the other match. It'll be the
Against Johnny
quickest world-class
Mantell.
review we ever do.
Oh, he's gonna wrestle Johnny Mantell for 15 minutes eventually. I just know it.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he is. So then we get the not really the main event, but the last match on the video that I watched. The greatest martial arts expert in the world, the Great Kabuki, with Gary Hart of all people, versus Kamala with General Skandor Akbar. And my guess is that this aired on the Fort Worth show, but I guess we'll know for sure soon enough because they had different graphics for this match. Kabuki spewed the palmolive on his hand as the match started. Drunk Mark Lawrence now called it close to 50,000 after calling it 50,000 the rest of the show. And to be fair, 32,123 is closer to close to 50,000 than it is to 50,000.
He's gotten drunker as the show was going on.
When the bell rang, and this is before I didn't look up the results ahead of time, but the bell rang and I wrote, there will be no winner in this match because Kamala didn't like doing jobs. Yeah, I didn't see either of these doing a job, and somehow I guess Kabuki was the baby face.
Okay.
Kamala got.
Okay. Mark Lawrence said something about Kabuki wearing 3 masks to cover the stars from growing up in a melting pot of sin. And I was way too stoned to have that conversation with drunk Mark Lawrence. And I'm still upset about it.
I'm sorry to hear that. So Kamala gets on the boob claw, and Gary Hart realizes that this match is in the shitter. So he tried to get something going by confronting Akbar, but then realized nobody gave a fuck about him confronting Akbar either, so he went back to his corner. Gary then figured, well, it didn't work once, let's try it a second time. So he took his coat off and nailed Friday, excuse me. And because he hit Friday, Akbar then got in the ring for some reason. And for some reason, despite the fact he didn't actually get involved in the match itself, that led to a double disqualification. And Gary gets in the ring and chokes Akbar while the wrestlers were doing stuff. Gary Hart went over and kicked Kamala in the face. I don't want to accuse someone of having a massive ego, but Gary Hart had a massive ego.
Chronologically, it was like in the middle of the card, it was this match, and then they followed it with the Dog and Link match. So, like, just in the middle of this card, just like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of just unadulterated, worthless shit.
It was, because, like, we've seen them, hey, they had Dog and they had Butch Reed in, but we've seen this before on the big shows. They'll bring in a couple of outside, names, as special attractions. So it's like, I get that. And I mean, Kabuki has been in the territory before. And I think this may have been Gary Hart's first appearance since, he quit his booker after the Christmas 82 angle.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
This was a boring match that was too long, and it had a fucking smudged finish. Just fucking worthless.
It had a smudged finish that you knew was coming. You just didn't know which one it was going to be.
This was the most boring fucking monster battle.
Yeah. This was not the ECW Monster Mash Battle Royal.
This was not Freddy versus Jason.
No, it was not. Not even the Memphis version of Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, I bet fucking the Memphis Freddy Krueger against like the weren't they what did they ever do that in like IWA Japan? They were both like they had somebody doing Jason the Terrible at the same time that Doug Gilbert was doing Freddy Krueger.
I mean, I expect because you're our a pure wrestling expert, you would know that.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Anytime you bring up Eddie Gilbert and Doug Gilbert and Freddie Krueger, I think about poor Freddie Gilbert, who disappeared one week on ECW and was never seen again.
Was kidnapped by Michael Jackson.
Yep. Poor Freddie Gilbert.
Yeah, that, and remember the time he got spanked by Stan Hansen?
Poor bastard. Oh Lord. Anyway, so that's the end of the show. Is there was somehow, I can't imagine how, but was there anything on your version that we did not cover?
No.
Okay, great. So yeah, you need to go
Sorry.
out of your way to go watch 20 minutes of fucking musical performances.
I'm not going to.
All right, damn you.
Oh, I can't believe we talked for like an hour and 45 minutes about this. Well, that and a whole bunch of other random bullshit.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be us if we stayed on topic. So
Sure
next
wouldn't.
week we're doing two Mid-South shows to get caught up. I don't know yet if we're doing a Friday night spot show because I've got my Thursday is fucking busy, and so I don't know if I'm gonna have the time to do it.
I'm so
But
tired.
yeah, the spot show, like, I'm sorry, as much as I'm enjoying the spot show, that is the most likely thing to be in danger of being dropped and never done again, just because having a boyfriend who has a life. Now I've now been invited to take part in having a life, and
In
well,
his life. That's very sweet that he's invited you to take part in his life. No, here's the thing. They're spot shows. We can do them whenever.
yeah. It's funny though because we used to do them on late Friday night, and I just post them. I'd usually go up on like Saturday morning, and yeah,
Yeah.
just somehow it makes more sense for the Friday night spot show to drop on Friday nights.
Yeah, I guess we've given up on doing it live.
I don't know if she's part of the actual group, but Roxanne Perez has been brought into the Judgment Day's clubhouse.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I saw she was on Raw.
Well, the WWE YouTube video or YouTube page posted it 27 minutes ago, so yeah.
Oh, well.
She is a very attractive young lady.
She is a nice looking young woman. She is.
Yeah.
Respectfully, not problematically.
No. Speaking of her, her and Rhea Ripley applied for the Money Ladder match. In case you were
All
wondering
right.
who won that Kairi Sane, Rhea Ripley, Zoey Stark match.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's the thing that happened.
I know we talked about how you haven't watched that. Do you
I'm sorry you cut out and I didn't hear the question.
do you know what happened with Collision?
No, I don't.
Okay. So just leave it. Apparently, Triller has not yet put up Double or Nothing to be bought on Triller yet.
I
So,
didn't see
you know,
that. Yeah, that's where I buy pay-per-view, so that's a problem.
hmm I might have to tease you into watching an illegal stream, which I know you're against. So,
Oh yeah, I'm very against. I wouldn't download a car.
yep. Will Ospreay is apparently going to be at WrestleCon over SummerSlam weekend, as is Okada.
All
I
right.
may have to drive to New Jersey just to meet Okada and Ospreay. The problem is Abdullah the
I,
Butcher is also going to be there, so unfortunately, I may get like hepatitis by being in the same building as him.
I have a perverse desire to see Will Ospreay versus Abdullah the Butcher now.
I mean, Ospreay had a match with Vader, for God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. So,
But yeah, so yeah, I love being a wrestling podcast that can never talk about anything modern day because I can't talk to you about 3-day-old wrestling news right now.
I'm sorry, y'all. It's been like I've been really busy and I'm really tired and I'm still like I don't know. I had the epiphany today because I worked all day and I worked hard and I had a relatively good day and then I realized that my best case scenario is that I'm just exhausted forever and then I don't know. I'm just not having a good time with this whole being alive business. But anyway, I'm
You can tell
behind
by
on
the way I
everything.
use my walk. I'm a woman's man. No time to talk.
Okay.
Staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive.
Okay, I'll shut the fuck up.
Okay. Hey, we still got a lot of shows to watch on this show, so I'm sorry, you have to stay alive.
I don't like it. I don't want to. God damn it.
I'm sorry, it's been decided already for you. Because I love Cindy, but you know, I can't make her watch Mid South and World Class and Smoky Mountain every week. It just wouldn't work out.
God damn it.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I'm sorry. We still have 4 years of Mid South to watch. Well, 3.5 years of Mid South to watch.
I don't have 4 years of, I don't know.
I mean, technically, we don't have 3.5 years of Mid South to watch. We only have just under 2 years of Mid South to watch. We then have just under 2 years of UWF to watch.
I'm gonna just pretend like I misunderstood and start watching like the Japanese UWF, and you're gonna be really confused.
I'll be like, Dick Murdoch is not on that show. Or Dick Slater. Whichever Dick is in UWF in March of '86, feuding with Jim Duggan. I think it's Slater.
See, I was imagining Dick Murdoch versus the Akira Maeda, and that sounds awesome.
I I wonder if what Murdoch would have done if Maeda had tried shooting on him.
Probably just would have fucking left.
Possibly.
That's what I imagine
All right.
Murdoch doing. Fuck you, I'm leaving.
There you go. And um, anyway, that's a joke we'll have in 2 years. When everyone forgets we talked about it now. But for now, thank you to everyone for listening. Watch the Oh My God cast or listen to the Oh My God cast if it ever gets aired, if it ever gets recorded and aired again.
I know. God damn it.
Thank you all for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.